All right. Hello, afternoon, or whatever time it is when you're watching this. I'm Sean. It's Librarian Writer Geek. It's Librarian Writer Geek on Twitch and YouTube. Follow me there in both places for when I go live or when I upload stuff. Follow me on Blue Sky, same name, or this mess of my real name. And yeah, follow me there. I post there as well, or just head to my site that I because there's links. There's links to this. There's links to some other stuff as well. Okay, so yeah, did not stream last week because obviously, as I said when I last streamed, that I was busy out doing stuff and having something resembling a social life. But but I'm obviously back this week. The plan I had planned to get started about the stream about 20 minutes ago, but clearly that didn't happen because well, I needed to use I decided to use the restroom instead, and that took a few minutes. And I decided, I can push this back a little bit because there's no one holding anything over me to do this at a certain time. So hey, here we go. Okay, so today I'm thinking, finish up looking at 13th Age, though I have been looking at some other games that I got or that I got versions of. Mostly like beta versions of tabletop games that I backed on various support platforms, etc., etc. You get the idea. And I might do that. I might do that at some point. Yeah, but I want to finish looking at 13th Age first. I will not be including a little demo section of this because unfortunately my preferred VTT of choice is kind of borked at the moment because they upgraded the software has been upgraded to version 14, but a bunch of the games and systems that are built for the game they did not they were not upgraded. They have not been upgraded to be compatible with the new version of the Foundry software. So unfortunately, I can't really show it off. And even if I could, I don't believe any of the second edition content has really been incorporated into Foundry as of yet, at least the last time I saw any of this was like uh, the beta version a while back, and that module didn't get updated. So yeah, that's annoying. Oh well, but let's get to it. I'm gonna start some music, and we'll switch over to the PDF, and I'm gonna start music because why not? And I'm pretty sure that shouldn't be too loud. Shouldn't be over me, louder than me. I'm gonna maybe turn it down where I'm streaming it from. Maybe, I don't know. Let's see. Okay, that maybe is keeping it even more controlled. I don't know. I'm seeing lines moving in OBS, and that's all I'm getting. So, anyway. Okay. So before moving into other stuff beyond classes, beyond where we were last time, I'm not going to go through the classes. I'm not going to go through all this stuff. But there is like one little thing in the wizard class that I love, and I feel it needs to be kind of pointed out because I find it funny and I find it very cool, and it's definitely something I would encourage if any of my players when I briefly ran a game of 13th Age. If any of my players, and this was in first edition as well, if any of my players had played a wizard, I would have highly encouraged them to take this. Anyway, so right, we have the wizard stuff, class features, cyclic spells, talents, so various types. But yeah, the talent I would have encouraged them to take is Vance's polysyllabic verbalizations, because I just find this funny. It doesn't necessarily do anything mechanically, but it's like, and I think actually, yeah. So, okay. Let's see. Escalation is 1+2. Once per arc or other per arc spell you want to upgrade with bonus loquacity. Love that they use that term instead of something more normal. 2 upgrade options available: quick action, colorful bump, and the move action. So basically, you spend an additional quick action to cast the spell. Your eloquence will result in a colorful bump and an improvised bonus effect having something to do with the way you renamed your spell. For example, instead of confusion, cast as Rubia's loquacious addle patter might cause the target to prattle incessantly about things they'd prefer not to talk about. Cast Acid Arrow as Salvador's ever-dissolving spray might deal a small amount of acid damage to enemies near the target. Could be damage equal to the wizard's itself. So, okay, fair enough. So, alternatively, if you take the Adventurer feat option for this, you can spend a use your move action and to avoid appellations, engineer an aura of mystic multiplicity. So, like, you cast a spell while spending an additional move action, roll a d12 and add that to the escalation die. If you roll an 8 or higher, you gain a bonus spell. Choose a spell from wizard spell list you have not prepared or cast this arc. If the result is a 10 or plus at first level, you need a result of 10 or plus on the d12 to get the bonus spell. Regardless, bonus spell doesn't... Okay. So, okay, this is admittedly a little more than it was in first edition, because I think in first edition it was just like, yeah, you might get some colorful details about this, and that's about it. But it's just this neat little thing. It's this cute little bit of fun stuff, and it's a shout out to early designs for tabletop RPGs and early influences on the games and whatnot. Anyway, moving on. Obviously, we have that. We have rules for familiars and pets, because obviously several classes have some rangers have pets, sorcerers and wizards have familiars, though the rules are slightly different for either of those. Rules about doing rituals, spells, artwork, updated artwork for the Prince of Shadows, very nice. And now we actually get into more stuff. So this is last little thing about, or potentially the last thing about making a hero. It's the stuff that makes your hero unique and interesting. First up is your one unique thing, which is, obviously, here's a bunch of examples. I am the oldest elf in the world. I'm a dwarf who was born covered in dragon egg scales. 3-time winner of the Dwarven Drinking Championships. It's something that makes your character special. And, obviously there's advice for hey, maybe it means you'll get something cool later on, or you have some special abilities, whatnot, or Or, hey, here's something we can potentially hang a story on. It's mostly, it's cool. Nice art. Not sure if this is supposed to be anyone, although they have the Lich King seal there. That's interesting, but yeah, I don't know what that's about. And obviously you have more examples, and how to do that. Like, okay, players want to create creating their own story. That's great. Things that, hey, this sounds like a really cool idea, and maybe there could be some consequences of that later on down the line. Maybe. Like, I'm full of demons. Like, what? Okay. Sure, that's, this, like, stuff that's, you're just giving the GM things to do with your character that would be interesting, maybe. Fairly straightforward, not terribly exciting, or potentially, whatever. Not something that there's not a lot here. Like, okay, I'm the only elf in the world with human ears. Okay. I mean, that could mean something. That could just be, hey, yep, okay. And alternatively, an elven pyromaniac, which sounds like, okay, that's a little weird, but hey, it's not. It is fairly straightforward. And then there's also some advice on, like, yeah, okay, some of this stuff might be like, okay, this is a cool idea, but it's a bit much for first level. Like, okay, being a dragon rider, that's a little much. You're not going to be given you're not going to be riding around on a dragon at first level. Sorry. And options are like, yeah, this is, it's basically, okay, you're doing this as a way to get some really cool thing specifically for your character to be able to do cool stuff in combat or whatever. Getting around restrictions of, getting around the restrictions of the of character creation. So, like, okay, I can fly. Like, that's okay. That seems like really powerful, especially in a game that maybe doesn't necessarily use a gridded map. I don't know. Yeah, this is, yeah. Not even going to get into that because that's a whole other thing. Anyway, okay, next bit, backgrounds. So, I didn't mention this, but on the character sheet, which we'll be taking a closer look at in a bit, there's no handy list of character skills and whatnot, because all that stuff is handled with backgrounds, which I really like. I think this was a great idea to include that, because they add a flexibility that I feel like you don't generally get in certain games, like other, like D&D, like Pathfinder. Oh, jeez. Aha! Begone, bots. I hate this. Anyway, yeah. So, like, backgrounds. You have 8 background points. You add the points from a particular background to apply it to a skill check or whatever. The classes do usually include a list of, like, here's some possible backgrounds for a character of this class. There is a restriction that you can only put 5 points in a single background. So Yeah. So yeah, you will have at least 2 backgrounds, but yeah. And again, list of general stuff if you want to pick back for backgrounds. It's not terribly important that you do, but or rather, it's not terribly. You don't have to have a list of specific backgrounds to go with right away. And obviously, I have an example of skill check in play, etc., etc. Hold on 1 second. Okay, I may need to be stepping out in a minute, but hopefully not too crazy. Try and be able to get through this stuff real quick. Okay, how to handle background checks. Feats. Okay, you're getting a feat. We do level cap is 10, but you are gaining a feat every level. Feats in 13th Age are generally kind of more, obviously they have lists and they have tiers and whatnot. But they're more usually they're like a bump to a class ability or a specific a class ability, a kin ability, that kind of thing. Like, okay, we have like bumping something up, like geez, let me see. I mean, you can see the list here, obviously, and some of these. I think going through the classes, you saw like, okay, adventurer, champion, whatever the last level is. Sorry, that kind of thing. Adventurer, champion, epic. And they bump up things as you go along. Okay. Gear, again, not super deep. This is not a game that goes really hard on equipment and whatnot, because that's not part of the story. And finally, last bit is icon relationships. So, yeah, every character has a relationship with one of the icons or their organizations, these powerful individuals. And okay, sorry, I will be coming back in a minute. So apologies. Sorry. Helping unpack stuff. Anyway. We're getting back to this. Alright. So yeah, having icons ties your character into the world and all that stuff. Maybe gives a general idea of who your character is, that sort of thing. But also, you know, it plot hooks, things, resources to call on, that kind of thing. Anyway, there's a mechanic about icon dice that you roll at the beginning of either every session or whatever. And you can use that roll to like call in a favor or something, or the GM can use that to maybe influence some things, that kind of thing. Anyway, quick thing, there's usually, they do kind of break and there's 12 icons currently. There were 13 in the previous edition, but they kind of tweaked one. We'll maybe do that. Talk about that when we take a quick look at the icons. They generally break them down like, okay, we have the heroic icons, and they kind of want you to... The game designers encourage having positive relationships with heroic icons, or heroic or at least conflicted icons. Relationship with icons, because you get 3 points to put into icon relationships. So, they don't want you to have a negative relationship with an icon, with a good icon, unless, they don't want you to have a very strong negative relationship with any particular heroic icon, because you're kind of, drawing... It's basically kind of putting a target on your character's back for the nominally good guys. And obviously we have the ambiguous icons, which again are, sure, you're okay having a good relationship with the ambiguous icons. You're good having a conflicted relationship with good icons. We generally don't want you to have... We're more okay with you having a negative relationship with an ambiguous icon because, they are ambiguous. So, yeah. And then we have the villainous icons. We really don't want you to discourage having a positive relationship with villains, with icons that are expressed almost exclusively like villains. But, conflicted, maybe negative is better. See, building icons, etc. Leveling up. Not going to get into that. Art of the Great Gold Worm, very cool. Kind of weird. Okay. And they did more to develop the icons for this edition. Let me just double check how long we're going. Okay. They've done more to develop the icons in this edition than in first edition, which I very much appreciate. Including things like organizations associated with that icon, which is cool. Who is this icon? How might they relate to your hero? What? That sort of thing. So, okay, we have the Archmage, and Archmage. So, the Archmage, while not the ruler of the Empire, is kind of the one holding the Empire together. Or because, yeah. You know, there have obviously been previous archmages. The archmage is ostensibly an ally. Is at least ostensibly an ally of the Emperor. Here's some the archmage's relationship to different other icons, and don't worry, everything will be fine provided no catastrophe brings down the archmage's power nodes, thereby plunging the Empire into a maelstrom of rampant elementals, natural forces, monsters from the Iron Sea, and demons from the Abyss. Fun times. And obviously, how to connect your archmage to your hero, like giving them something unique about them, connecting them, your one unique thing, your background, working for the archmage, which is kind of something I did with my group. At least that was the goal. Some ideas of how what it might mean to what it might mean to have different types of relationships with the archmage, etc. And again, different organizations like the School of Imperial Wizardry, the True Order of Free Mages. Get an idea, etc. Again, we have the Crusade. I'm actually going to go through don't worry, so long as demons keep them busy, the Crusader can't pursue their secondary priority, stomping out on the face of goodness and light. So, yeah, the Crusader is kind of it is sort of the necessary evil, because, at least, ostensibly, the Crusader is sorta, maybe, kind of working on behalf of the Emperor, but isn't really interested in any of that. Mostly the thing is, right, the Crusader deals with demons, and dealing with demons the Crusader fights demons and leads armies that fight demons. So, yeah, the Crusader is, that, it is that necessary evil, I guess. Speaking of, the Diabolist wants to unleash demons upon the world. So, obviously, so let's see. All heroic icons are sure to resist any Diabolist attempts to corrupt them. Cool. Great. Crusader's Diabolist worst nightmare. No fan of the Great Cold Worm either. Priestess protects good people from corruption, which makes her a real annoyance. All heroic icons oppose her, though passively rather than proactively for the most part. Yeah. And honestly, the silhouette art for the Diabolist is very weird and creepy, and I kind of love it. Or at least I love how weird and creepy it is. It does get across that vibe that, this is not someone you want to be friends with. Dwarf King, I think there is something later. Something done. Anything we write, provided the Dwarf King doesn't unseal the Hall of Vengeance and retrieve the legendary Axe of Seven Bloods. That sounds crazy. I don't know what that means, but hey. Let me see yeah. Elf Queen. Obviously, she rules the various different types of elves and whatnot. Enmity between the three and the Elf Queen is deep and ancient. They consider the Great Green War to be her captive, a victim of her illusions and mind control. The Lich King hates her for summoning the original Orc Lord to kill him when he was the Wizard King. She can rival the High Druid and Dwarf King. She can be a rival High Druid and Dwarf King and enemy to any villainous icon. Everything will be alright so long as the Drow remain out of favor in the court, so the Queen sees little reason to enact bloody vengeance for ancient slights that only the elves remember. The Emperor. Yeah, okay. Now the Emperor. We have the Great Gold Worm, who's literally plugging up a giant hole full of demons called the Abyss. As long as the Great Gold Worm continues to survive his hellish torment and the Abyss doesn't once again tear open to unleash hells upon the land. Etc., etc. A lot of knights and paladins and stuff liking fans of the Great Gold Worm. The High Druid. As long as the Emperor and the High Druid don't go to war, everything will be fine. Okay. Because, again, and the High Druid is kind of an ambiguous hero. Is something of an ambiguous hero because obviously not necessarily allied with some of the really nasty icons, but also maybe not necessarily on the side of like the Emperor and the Archmage. The Lich King. Okay, the Lich King is, I don't think the art is in this book, but the Lich King is basically Vecna from D&D. Like, no one wants to make friends. Like, yeah. All the other icons know better than to ally themselves with the Lich King. Yeah. The Lich King ain't interested in making friends with anybody. So long as the Lich King has no villainous allies and none of the other icons fall under his sway, he will never reclaim the empire he lost, which is good. It's great. Okay, the Orc Lord. Okay, this is the missing icon, because the Orc Lord is dead. But so, and in deciding to do that we've maybe introduced the issue of okay, how? What great threat will civilization face next? Another great way to define campaign is to determine the biggest threat to peace and security. Typically, campaign starts with players knowing what that threat is. Sometimes GM wants the threat to come to light. So, for example, we have, hey, wow, there was that Axe of Seven Bloods that the Dwarf King may or may not have pulled out. Hey, maybe the Elf Queen was destroyed in taking down the Orc Lord. Or, hey, maybe we don't know. No, maybe the Crusader killed the Orc Lord, and now the people really like the Crusader, which is a very concerning thing. And, hey, wow, here's some... This is definitely not trying to give you some inspiration at all. Maybe the Emperor killed the Orc Lord. Perished while killing the Emperor. Now, not only is the Emperor dead, but his iconic power is broken, meaning no new Emperor will rise in his place. Yikes. At least managed to kill the Orc Lord in the process. Wizard King did. Well, with the Archmage dead, yeah. The Empire's framed. Or hey, maybe nothing happened. Who knows? It's something to think about if you're... It's definitely something to think about. It's definitely something I would maybe actually want to think about. About if I ever really get a chance to run a longer 13th Age campaign. I don't know. Or run like one campaign that's leading up to the death of the Orc Lord and then run a follow-up campaign in the aftermath of that. I don't know. There's a bunch of stuff that I'd like to run with 13th Age. Anyway. We have the Priestess. Again, Priestess, the representative of the gods of light or whatever. As long as the Priestess Cathedral unites the people of the Empire, civilization will surely stand. Maybe. Possibly. We'll see. The Prince of Shadows. Love a good crime lord. Everything's going to be alright so long as the Prince of Shadow doesn't end up leading the forces of evil. Why would the Prince of Shadows end up leading the forces of evil? Anyway. Continuing. The 3! Great. So, yeah. Yeah, the 3. Oh, boy. Let's see, what's the advice on this? So long as the Gesh holding the blue worm holds the blue worm, the 3 can never unite in war against the Empire. Right, because in theory the Great Gold Worm is the nemesis of the 3. In practice, he's sort of busy right now. The 3 hate the Elf Queen for holding the Great Green Worm captive, but he's something of a loser, so maybe that's for the best that he's not tagging along with them. The Lich King, then the Wizard King, killed the Great White Worm in the Dawn Age and has a penchant for turning dead dragons into undead servants. However, schemes of the 3 and the Lich King rarely set them at odds. Heroic icons pose the evil that the 3 would do, but until the 3 pose a real threat, heroic icons have other problems. Because the 3 are, in fact, 3 separate dragons. So we have, I think it's... Yeah. The blue is technically Imperial Governor of Drakenhall and a servant of the Emperor, which is crazy. I think the black... Yeah. Great Black Worm travels secretly across the Empire in humanoid or dragon form, visiting wild hunting grounds, evil monasteries in the hinterlands, and secret societies in the great cities. So more... I feel like the Great Black Worm is maybe a Ra's al Ghul, League of Assassins type figure. That sounds kind of fun to me. The Great Red Worm is not subtle enough to travel the Empire without a fight, therefore he lives mostly beyond the Emperor's borders or the overworld. Yeah. And that is the icons, etc., etc. We're not going to get into more of the using icons and whatnot and rolling icon dice, etc., etc. Or, you know, oh, what is this? Action or hero technique for narrative connections, information, invent some new raw, give some special icon power, or maybe if you rolled well on your icon relationship die, different NPCs you could run into. You get the idea. Organizations, assistant, hunts in a big fight, making a fight short, ending a fight sooner, or etc. Yep. You're getting the idea. Again, you're seeing the idea. Hey, wow, here's art of the Crusader. Very cool, very scary, very yikes. And then we're getting into combat, and I'm not going to really get too much into that because unfortunately I'm not going to be able to show that off. So, now we're gonna kind of jump into what we'll see as sort of the second half of this, and we'll actually go through the process of making a character. I'm gonna go with a kind of simple-ish character, I think. Do I have? There's no place to drop art for this, is there? Okay, that's fine. So I'm gonna say, let's see, and we're gonna make a fighter, and we're gonna make them a human, just to make things easy. Let's see, where are some towns? There's not a lot of towns listed on this, which is an upside and a downside. I think Concord? No. Anyway. Okay. Let's see. Alright. Just gonna jump down into here. I think we're going to go with the middle one, default 3 with 3 good scores. As a fighter, obviously we want him to have a good strength and a good constitution. Why not? Yeah, let's put that third one in dexterity. I'm imagining kind of a, well, we'll get into backgrounds in a bit, but I'm kind of imagining, like, you know, your typical farm boy would-be hero type. So I'm gonna give him a better wisdom, okay charisma, and just like a not so spectacular intelligence. So like intelligence in this case, I'm imagining more representing, like, yeah, he's not terribly well educated, but you know, he's not especially smart, but he's also not, you know, you get the idea. He's not he is not noticeably smart. His intelligence is nothing to remark on. Okay. So, as a human, I think we're gonna go with, I think, yeah, we're gonna go with quick to fight. It's gonna be special. Right, just gonna boop. This is on page 30. Okay. Have some characters ready to go, but and I did take some time. I did well, between the last stream and this stream, I did go through make some characters for 13th Age, and I will say, yeah, bards definitely seem like they have the most crazy stuff. Okay, let's see, we said fighters simple, but we'll get into that in a bit. Okay. Yeah, you can see there's obviously a lot of stuff. Bards have to keep track of a lot of stuff. They have a lot of things they can do. Fighter, alright. Let's see, I think we got 8 points for background, so I'm gonna say +2 for that for the farm boy background. Let me see. Actually, let me pull up the map so I can pick a decent location. I think we're going to say that he may be... Yeah, so he's a farm boy from around somewhere. Where maybe on the eastern side of the Empire. Not sure. And this map is from the first edition, obviously, because the Orc Lord icon is there, and he's listed over here. Let's say recruit, and we'll call that a +3. And maybe what else were you thinking? Oh, say sellsword, and also have that be a +3. I'll say, yeah, he started as on the farm, got him. How does it spell legionnaire? The farm boy got maybe drafted or recruited and joined the Legion. And you know, just kind of decided, yeah, I don't want to go back to work living on a farm. I just don't want to do that. No thanks. Okay, so obviously, as far as icons go, I think, okay, we're gonna say icon relationships. I like doing 3 different icon relationships. So we're gonna say there's a positive view of the Emperor. Okay, given some of these over here, I think he might. Ooh. I definitely wanted to have a conflicted view of the Crusader. Like, maybe during his time in the Legions, like, okay, they ran into some demons. Probably like maybe near the Hell Marsh or something. And that was just, and like, you know, he saw some Crusader forces in action, so it's like, okay, they obviously do serve a purpose, but also they're not afraid to do some questionable things. And I think we'll give him another with the... We'll call that, give him conflicted, positive with the Dwarf King, because maybe he also fought alongside some dwarves. Maybe. Anyway, alright. Getting gear, we're gonna say, alright, so fighters, obviously favor, heavy armor, especially, and shield. So we're gonna give him some, what do you think? Heavy armor, so... we'll say... Call it that. Okay, that gives a base AC of 15. Gets a +1 for having a shield. So that gives us a base AC of 16. Melee weapon. And yeah, sure. We'll go with a long sword. Why not? Standard long sword. Ranged weapon will be really fun and go with the heavy crossbow. Nah, maybe not the heavy crossbow. We'll go with the light crossbow. Alright. Now we'll scroll up to here. Long sword does a d8, so it's 1d8 plus strength. If we jump down a little further, basic fighter attack is plus strength plus damage is plus strength modifier. Attack is strength plus level. Does level damage, so that's 1. Bonus is strength plus level, so that's a +4. Light crossbow. That was the basic ranged attack. That's dex plus level, does d6. I think we said was a d6. Yeah, d6 plus dex, and we get nothing on a miss. I'm not 100% sure about the second, but it's still a +4. Okay. I'm not... Alright, now a bunch of this stuff. Oh boy. Okay. Alright, let's see. So our total hit points is 8 plus con mod times 3. So 8 plus our constitution modifier of 3 gets us 11 times... So that's 11 times 3 is 33. The sheet handily does the math for what we get at staggered and where we're dead. Recovery dice is d10 plus con mod. 1d10 plus 3 and give us the average of 9. Okay. Alright, we know 3 minutes. We have 1 adventurer tier feat. We know 3 potentially know 3 maneuvers of first level and 3 class talents. Flexible attack reduces the number of maneuvers you know by 1. Okay. So maybe we have to look at that. Okay. let's see. So, okay. Initiative is dexterity mod plus level. So that's going to be a +4. And, and because of our quick to fight thing, that gives us advantage on initiative rolls, which is handy. Okay, we have an heavy armor and shields. Armor class is 16 plus the middle of our dexterity, constitution, or wisdom plus our level. So we're going to just say, 17 con, dex, or whiz, constitution, dexterity, wisdom. Okay. So that's a 3, and a 1. The middle of those is going to be a 3, so that gives us an AC of 20. Not bad. Not bad for a level 1 character. Physical defense is 10 plus middle of strength, con, dex, plus level, so 11 plus the middle of 11 plus strength, con, and dex. Each of those is 3, so that gives us a 14. And our mental defense is 10 plus level for 11 plus middle of intelligence, wisdom, or charisma. And this is where, okay, that kind of comes to bite us in the butt. So we only have a mental defense of 12. So hopefully our boy Bran doesn't get hit by a lot of mental attacks. But we'll see. Okay. We have 4, so we have class features. Okay. Okay. Alright, so for starters, extra tough. Extra tough, start 9 recoveries instead of the usual 8. So we go over here, and we change that to a 9, and hey, look at that, the little check boxes change. That's awesome. Fighter maneuvers, momentum, threatening, and threatening. These aren't talents, these are features. Okay. Momentum, each of these are all on page 114. What is it? Fighter maneuvers, M-A-N. Fighter maneuvers. Choose number of maneuvers shown. Da. Let's see, momentum. If you haven't been hit since the end of your last turn, you have momentum. If you don't start battle with momentum, you gain it at the end of your first turn. The end. Da, 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 da. Benefits. When you have momentum, you roll an extra d20 with your first melee attack roll on your turn and choose the result you prefer. Lose momentum until the end of your next turn. When you're hit by an attack, being damaged by an attack that misses isn't enough. Okay. And threatening. Attempt to take a penalty to check equal to your dex or con modifier, whichever is higher. Okay. Alright. Let's see. And okay, we don't. That okay. Adventure tier talents. We get 3 of the 3 talents. Let's see. Cleave, counterattack, flexible attack. I don't know if I want to go with flexible attack because that is a lot. That feels like that's more stuff. Okay. Reaction after I think we're gonna say we're gonna take tough as iron. I think that's 115, yeah. And I'm gonna note that over here. You once per round. Interrupt. Roll normal. I think we're gonna go. Also gonna go with counterattack. When you're hit by an attack towards AC, you can take half damage. And I think we'll say heavy warrior. Why not? I see a lot of these are per battle. Okay. Interesting. Maneuvers. Okay, and we know maneuvers. We know 3 maneuvers. Okay. I think we're definitely gonna take Carve and Ope Let's see. Let's see. Stage fire attack. Accept. Magic attack when crit range, but your crit range accumulate +1 until you score a critical hit. It's 116, yes. That's right, a basic melee attack except on a hit. Yeah. Because I just think that's just fun to have. It's one of the, it's, I don't know. This feels like a really cool fighter thing to have and makes the fighter kind of special. Not a lot of options, so. Melee attack. Attack. There's basically an attack +2 to all defense until end of next. Ooh, that's nice. Okay, and that's once per battle. Let's see. Okay. Right, and we don't get a third, fifth, maneuvers. Ugh. Flexible attack. Oh, that is a whole thing. That is a whole thing that is basically, hey, do you want to learn more? Do you want to be even more crazy and even more out there? And I think... Oh, right. And... I think as for our unique thing... Oh... We'll say... No, not mother. No. See, I want to say something like, I'm gonna, okay, sure. Okay. She doesn't. Cut. I think that's a nice little okay. I don't know. Tied into the Emperor to a major icon, but like not too heavily, and certainly not like enough to grant any initial boons. There's definitely some stuff there like, okay, why doesn't your mom remember this? What happened to her? Why did she go disappear? Etc., etc. But anyway, and yeah. Oh geez, that was how it's supposed to go. Okay. I guess the quick to fight could have gone down here. Or wait. special spot for... No, there is not. Okay. But anyway, so we now effectively have a fully ready to play character. And that didn't take too long, I feel. But then again, fighter is not the most complex class. Anyway. Alright, but that's gonna do it for me this week. Again, I would love to kind of show this stuff off, but I'm not oh again, like I said, I'm the program I would use to show this stuff off is not exactly working, and even if it was working, it is not necessarily using this version of 13th Age. But yeah, rest assured, it would be, I think. Oh wow. Ooh, that's not great. Okay, but next week I'll be starting to going back to and streaming the DLC stuff, content, whatever, for Sea of Stars. I'm gonna be trying something interesting and playing it with a game controller instead of with the keyboard and mouse, mostly because there were just times I feel like this game was clearly designed to be played with a game controller and not with the I feel like the keyboard and mouse was a I don't know. There were definitely times when it was like, okay, this would be easier to do if I had a controller, so I'm going to try that out. I'm probably going to at least experiment a little bit between now and then with playing with a controller just to get the hang of it. And I believe next Friday, or not next Friday, the 8th, I might also be back on I will probably be back on Dungeon Mayhem Syndicate, running Draw Steel for them again, another kind of demo. Again, I will be another run through of what I will be doing at MomoCon, which is in about a month. So if you're there, go to the website. I know there's a sign up. There's sign-ups for actually, you know what? Here at Tabletop Events. Here's a link. Tabletop.events. I think if you go there, maybe you can. You might be able to. You know what? I will. Okay. Tabletop.events at events convention MomoCon. I'll just drop it there. There's a link to find it. You can obviously register. You can buy a badge to buy a badge to sign up for games. Buy tickets to different games. I will admit this stuff does cost money. I think it's like This is sort of to register ahead of time. Maybe I believe they might be some charging to play games, but not it's not a lot. I think it's like $2 for the badge and then like $2 for the ticket. So like, you're paying like 50 cents for every hour, or like it's 50 cents for every hour for tickets. Uh Purchasing a badge on the site only grants you access to RPGs and Minis event that you are buying tickets for. You also need MomoCon badge at the convention. Obviously, players who pre-register will receive special commemorative dice as a thank you. Ooh. But yeah. So, if you're interested, if you're interested in if you're going to MomoCon and you're interested in seeing and playing some games with me or playing some tabletop games with other people, yeah, there it is. I'll also drop a link in the description. I'll try to remember to drop a link in the description when I upload this to YouTube. Other than that, take care of yourselves and have a good one. Bye.